a survivor who used their facilities back in 1983. Well, I was going through a very difficult time in my marriage. It was very abusive. I was a typical battered woman, and I was very much trapped in that situation financially. I'd been married for 10 years, didn't work at all, had 3 young children, and I had joined Al-Anon as a way of helping myself and finding some answers to what was going on in my life. And someone there mentioned First Step. So I looked them up in the phone book, and I believe at the time they were at Nankin Mills. There was an office there in Nankin Mills. And I went there and met with a counselor and decided to make a plan to leave. And that was my first step.
And how did they help you?
Just about telling me how to be careful about it. I think that was the biggest thing. Is I think everyone knows their own abuser and what they're capable of, and you have to make a plan that works for you, not that works. You don't just up and leave. You really have to plan it. And I had a really great support system with friends and family, so that was helpful. I don't think I could have done it otherwise. And we set a date for when I was going to leave, and I got a call when there was room at the shelter. And I'll never forget the day I left. It was very traumatic. He left for work. I told the kids we're leaving. We packed up what we could get, clothes and bags, and we went to the shelter. And we stayed there for the 30 days. I think my biggest challenge at that time was trying to find housing. I needed the time and the space to clear my head, to see what I was going to be able to do, because it was so overwhelming. I hadn't worked, I didn't have income, I didn't have a place to live, I didn't know what I was going to do. So it was good to have a safe place to be, to think all that through and make a plan of what I was going to do. And so with my family's help, I was able to find housing. At that time, First Step wasn't helping with that sort of thing. So, and I'm glad they are now, because that's a big thing, to find somewhere to live. So I stayed out of contact with my then husband for probably 6 months. I was able to find a place to live, get my kids in school. I got on public assistance. I filed for divorce, went back to school, and just started that path. And I'm so grateful for First Step, because I could not have done it without them. There was no safe place for me to go that he wouldn't find me. And I had left before, but he always knew where to find me. I would be with my father at my sister's house, and he'd threaten them, he'd threaten me. So, I mean, without First Step, I don't know if I could have done it. I think he might have killed me. He was always threatening to kill me, and I think if I hadn't gotten out, he probably would have. So I will always be grateful to First Step for being there for me. Well, I had a little bit of schooling in accounting. I had worked as assistant bookkeeper. So when I went back, I went to OCC and I got an associate's degree in accounting. And I gave myself a time frame. I made a goal, which is something I hadn't done before for myself. So it was new for me to make goals for myself. And I had made a goal that I wasn't going to stay in public assistance more than 2 years. And I was going to, by that time, have some sort of education enough to get a good job. Because this was the early 80s. There was a bad recession. There were no jobs. So, and actually, in 1 year, was able to get a job. And I think what also helped was I availed myself to every organization or opportunity that was out. Everybody who would reach out a hand to help, I grabbed it. And I was living in Southfield, and they had a program there for helping people getting back into the job market, where if people hired you, the government would pay half your salary for the first 6 months. So that's how I got my first job. And from there, I just progressed.
And what would be your hopes for First Step going forward?
Actually, I'd like to see them not be needed anymore, but they are, and I know they've grown a lot. I'm so happy to see how much they've grown and how much more they're helping people and finding housing and jobs and all of that. And I hope they continue to do that because there is a need for it. And women should not be afraid to reach out in whatever way you can. Even if you're not going to leave, get some support. You know, I really want to say thank you to all the volunteers because I've often said if it weren't for the kindness of strangers, I might not be alive today. Happy anniversary, First Step. Thank you for being there.